Star Trek TNGenZ. And look, a new Sulu. Air quotes. Okay. That's what's up today on Trekland Tuesdays Live with Dr. Trek. That's me, Larry Nemecek, coming at you right here from the heart of Trekland, right through Portal 47, and bringing you some clarity, sanity, and all good things of the big picture in Star Trek. Star Trek TNGenZ, and look, a new Sulu. First off, did you catch Saturday Night Live yet? And right there, that's a dividing question, because a lot of people under, 40 or 50 don't even watch Saturday Night Live anymore, especially when we're out of campaign season. I kind of do it just out of habit now these days again. And to streaming, you can watch it anywhere and capturing it. But enough said. Number one, they had another Star Trek spoof sketch on this week. And I say that it was one of those loosely defined Star Trek sketches. They're not even wearing Battery's outfits or anybody else's. Well, and Carey Mulligan, who was the guest host this week, who was amazing, and she got to do comedy, which was cool. It was a good show. It was actually one of the best Saturday Night Lives in a while, and I know there are skeptics. But the Star Trek sketch I'm talking about was obviously that. It was actually called Star Charter and Drama. And here's the thing. It really wasn't about Star Trek. They weren't trying to parody Star Trek so much as all the Star Trek tropes. Everybody sitting at consoles on a bridge, stately captain in the center seat, and a galactic, crisis going on. They're getting sucked into a black hole. Pretty mundane. The gist of the story, though, was what I got on Twitter immediately about, to see what kind of reaction there was, if anyone had even been paying attention. If any of those that might have been the target were even paying attention, because, for lack of a better word, it was a Gen Z spoof. It was an online snowflake spoof, and if you haven't seen it, it's out, it's around. Somebody may even put the link in the chat here. It's on Saturday Night Live NBC's page. It's everywhere. But basically, you've got two junior crewmen off to the side. A sweet young thing offers a solution to the galactic crisis. Immediately gets shut down as, no, that's not going to work, by maybe an over-strict first officer-looking female officer, Kate McKinnon. But then Carey Mulligan's young little board op and Mikey Day, who's playing, 1820. We launch into a, CWWB, whatever, teen angsty thing here. It's your worst teenage movie drama where they get up and leave the bridge and they're stomping around, and all the stuff about it just turns into an online Instagrammy, tweety, TikToky trope-filled thing about being shut down and they're being heard and being gaslighted and back and forth, and she's going to throw herself out an airlock. Oh, she threatens, the helmsman. Oh, she threatens to do that every day. One of the other characters, one of the black female characters on the bridge, says something about it. It just sounds to me like a couple old prep school and never had anything but their entire world revolve around them. So it's a clash between Star Trek tropes and the normality of any drama you would see among adults, and these two semi-adult kids stomping and tromping around, which ends with the young guy, "You will listen to the value of her voice. I'm coming back and I want an apology and you're going to hear my voice." And it's just all the trope. A lot of good and a lot of this, but presented in an absurd situation. It was comedy. I was just curious. And then pointing in her face, and she says, "You will not point in my face," and grabs his wrist. "Ow, you're hurting me." And then a third person, Chloe Feynman, comes in with her tricorder and she's filming the whole thing. "I cannot believe you're abusing your, and meanwhile, the ship is getting sucked in. And finally, the captain is just like, who are these people? Why are they doing this? He's totally so above these minions. He's not insulting them. It's just like, there is like a power structure here. There is an hierarchical command structure. We are in a military order. And finally, the punchline of the joke is, spoilers, they're ejected out of an airlock. And you just see little action figures as the big inflated Star Charter USS Andromeda floats away. So no, don't talk about how bad, how close, or how far away the costumes of the set were, because they weren't. There was no even attempt to be anything but the most vaguest of sci-fi ship tropes, which was, it was as much parodies of Star Trek as it's ever been a parody. But you knew what it was. It was cool. It was cute. But I just wonder reaction if there was anybody even watching, if anybody was offended or thought about, and most of the reaction I saw immediately was everybody saying, ha ha. Most of the reaction was talking about how that really wasn't much of a Star Trek spoof. But no, it was not about that. This was not the last voyage. The original Star Trek sketch on Saturday Night Live was from the first season, which I did not see live because we couldn't get Saturday Night Live. I saw it, I heard it on Dr. Demento as audio, read it in Starlog magazine when they reprinted the script, which was kind of amazing if you think about it, and know that Michael O'Donoghue wrote it. Now, I don't know who wrote this script last week. The individual sketch writers' names don't float out and for years later, or unless something blows up about it. But, there was the Shatner Get a Life week in 1986 was also the goofy head-on, nose-on parody, Star Trek on Enterprise. Remember that? And then Sir Patrick, the last week or nearing the finale in Next Gen, did the Love Boat restaurant, the Love Boat Star Trek mashup of Love Boat and Next Gen. And I mean, there've been, and then Chris Pine a couple years ago. Well, it's like a couple years ago. It was 2017. Pre-comeback did a Trek parody. And in all those, it was a nose on. And there have been some other Trek parodies that weren't so close in, sci-fi parody-ish, and this was one of those. So not so much the Star Trek, but all the Star Trek tropes, but making fun of the Gen Z everything and how they're not paying attention to. It was like, we've got a life and death situation here. And that's the comedy. The comedy was a clash of the generations. I was curious to see if anybody was butthurt over it. I didn't really see that online. I don't know if anybody in the demo was even paying attention. Maybe it'll soak in when all the eventual, I say clickbait, all the bait in search of bait, in search of clicks, online stories were coming around. So that's kind of a thing. I didn't really see that blow up. I don't know if any of you all saw it, if any of you all had a thought, if any of you all are young enough to be offended, or even maybe have a kid or know somebody. So that was one level of it. What I didn't even realize until it all clicked in was looking around about this, coming across a 2017, right after that last Chris Pine appearance on SNL. This is Joanna Robinson writing on Vanity Fair, and it's online, and she's right. And this became, out of the blue, became very topical to me. It's the second part of our theme today. Oh, look, a new Sulu. I don't know if you've been keeping score at home. Over the years, again, I did not see season 1's Last Voyage live. I read about it a year or two later, and then eventually saw it in reruns, in specials, and now it's everywhere on YouTube. But the same guy, there'd been no Asian member of the cast in 1976, or in 1986, or in 1994. And that was Joanna Robinson's point. That guy that didn't seem to be an actor. I didn't know this until reading this. And this is, again, almost a 4-year-old web piece. The guy who had played Sulu, I knew was the same guy because they made a joke about it. In the 2017 Chris Pine sketch, they made a joke about how Sulu was so old. Oh, wait, is that still him? There'd been a joke about the Sulu character in one of the earlier, in the 86 or the 94. It almost doesn't matter at this point. They made a joke about, oh, Sulu, you really let yourself go. I think it was the Shatner in 86. That Sulu was the same guy in 1976, 1986, 1994, and 2017. That guy was Akira Yoshimura, who was the live set designer in the first year and still was, which was amazing in its own right. And he's been a part of SNL documentaries. And guess what? He's still is. But he wasn't in the sketch Saturday night, because now, as of the last couple of years, Saturday Night Live has had Bowen Yang in the cast, and you might say, oh, look, he's handling all the Asian characters. And I don't know. I mean, it's a little sentimental now that on one hand, it was the first time Akira Yoshimura had not been playing. This was not Sulu, obviously. This was the crew of the Andromeda. But it's that all the tropes are there. There's even what's his name playing an android-ish, science-y sounding officer delivering, warnings and science-y lines over at the side in a mellifluous, even-handed voice. Oh yeah, not spot on Star Trek characters and situations and canon visualizations, but there's Bowen Yang as an Asian male member of the bridge crew. And I thought that night, oh, look, they're not Sulu, Chekhov, Uhura, but look, there you go. But then to be refreshed on not only who that guy was that had played Sulu all those years, but that it was a designer. I mean, I'm sure some of you may have known that. The fact was out there. Obviously, it was in this 2017 piece pointing it out. Go look at his IMDb. He's still at Saturday Night Live. How many years? 76. That's 45. Oh my God, he was 12 when he started. That's amazing. That's amazing just to celebrate on its own. It's amazing to think that he came in and was such a good sport. Yeah, we've never seen him before. It's weird that he's never it's never been a thing. But I guess what's really a good the sidebar to this whole thing about the sketch was that, look, in the big picture, in the broader social picture, Saturday Night Live did not have to go get him to play Sulu or even the Asian guy on the bridge one more time. Although I'm sure he would have sat there and done it in the wig and everything. That's nice to know. That's nice to know. Well, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop to see what anybody under 30 or anyone under 21. Sorry, younger millennials, to see what the under 20 high school had to say about the sketch, assuming they were even watching. It was kind of good to know that end of that era of that joke was there. That Yoshi is, God, my God, been the production designer, the production designer, I would think, at SNL. Day one. That's amazing. That's amazing. Anyway, I'm curious to know what you guys thought about it. We'll talk about this after the break. See what anybody, if you've noticed, if you saw it, or if you online and all the repeat places you can see, or if you're madly going over to watch now. The comedy was very cute. It was very deftly delivered. Carey Mulligan is amazing, reading places where she never gets to do comedy, and how she did nail it. I hadn't realized she'd never done comic bits. My God, she's out of some British school, right? Don't they do everything before they get pigeonholed by American media and casting? Anyway, it was pretty much a fun show. The skit was fun. Again, it was not about. It was about the youth online culture and getting their nose in a in a bind when they're not the center of everything. It was very cute from my perspective. I was wondering if you heard otherwise. So guys, I wanted to get that off my chest. Lots going on in Star Trek. Yeah, the first contact news happened. My good buddy, John Eves. Oh my God. I met him when I was working on Generations movie chapter for Next Gen Companion. Congrats, huge congrats to John Eves for winning a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Art Directors Guild. That all happened Saturday. It was live streamed with the pandemic. Herman Zimmerman himself had gotten that same award about 10 years ago, which I remember covering. And he gave it away to John, which is amazing. You know, John's done other things besides Star Trek, but none of them really matter, do they? Yeah. And an RIP to Margaret Wander Bonanno, who I never had the pleasure to meet, but yielded us much great Star Trek fiction and fiction across the board. So it's been a week of headlines. Maybe somebody's going to pop in here with something else. We had such a big blast on First Contact Day of news and headlines that's been filtering in. Yeah. But I just wanted to comment on this. It was a 1-2 punch. So far as I can tell, the other shoe has not dropped on reactions that were negative to the not Star Trek, but it is sketch last week. So yeah, I just thought I'd call it TNGenZ, for lack of a better word. Somebody may want to shoot me later on. Meanwhile, if you don't feel like shooting me, I do want to say, once again, thanks to our Patreon folks for jumping in here. Our TTL Club. Hey, that's Blaze K, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Blake Arledge, Justin Porteous, and Nathaniel Robinson. Thanks, guys and gals, and everybody in our live wires. Rusty Harrell, Halbjord, Gunn Johnson, Jalen Bullock, Gary Williams, Jared Cooper, Mr. Vestek, Rob McLean, and Casey Shafsky. If you want to join in and help out, Patreon is the way to do it with all kinds of creatives, ongoing or by project. Mine is just an ongoing support base. Very simple, $5, $10 a month. You go to patreon.com/Trekland Live for me, but you can look at all the others there. $5, my gratitude of shout out, as you saw, and $10 a month is that. Plus all the past early years Portal 47 interviews that I have not shared in a while. I need to get on with you guys and gals about that. I do. So look that up. They take it at the end of the month. Trekland, I'm at patreon.com/Trekland Live. Thank you all for helping spread our message here. This last year has been a huge growth during the pandemic, finally, but it was also the kick in the butt that I needed to get going with that. Elsewhere around the horn, we have a new guest on the Trek Files, Dr. Harrison Solo, the widow of the great Herb Solo, who just passed last fall, is a guest with us talking about her book she wrote in the 90s, the book that was her entree to meeting Herb Solo and the Justmans and so many other folks when she did her book, Gene Roddenberry, The Last Conversation. Talks about being with Gene, with him at the hospital when he started having his most severe stroke. It's an amazing conversation. She's coming back to the show a few more times. The first one is up this week, and as always, our paperwork is right there at the Trek Files on Facebook. You can get the audio anywhere, podcast.roddenberry.com or your favorite podcatcher. Okay, I do hope you'll go over and take a listen because it's a fascinating story. It's the first of several we're going to have with her, and hopefully some more down the road too. She's still digging through the Herb Solo collection in the boxes in her garage, and we hope to have some more of those out too. Meanwhile, Dr. Ali and I are on every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on Life Support Live. We just had our 51st show. This week is something special. We haven't even announced this yet, but we're doing a watch-along. That's going to be a shock to all our lifers that are here because we haven't posted it yet. We're going to have a watch-along. It's our 1-year anniversary. Our 1-year anniversary. We had our 50th episode a couple of weeks ago. Our 1-year anniversary is this next Saturday. We're going to celebrate it with a watch-along of The Cage. I don't have a graphic done. We just decided this last night. So there you go. Hope you can join us. It'll be a lot of fun. It's not the anniversary of The Cage, although The Cage was first screened about a month ago in 1965, so figure that up. 56 years, is that what that is? So anyway, join us if you can. Of course, that's 6 p.m. UK time, 7 p.m. Central Europe. So another great week of Life Support Live, going boldly where none have gone through uncertain times before. Yeah. We have a lot of fun. And one more quick shout out. It's still happening. We're over halfway there. A $3,000 GoFundMe for our friend Michael Braveheart, who was Nurse Martinez, Ensign Martinez, with Dr. Crusher all the years in sickbay. Actually, he started with Dr. Pulaski, season 2, and then was there the remainder of the series and the first 2 movies. A GoFundMe for some medical issues for him. He's in New York. The bulk of what he's raised so far has all been from Star Trek fans, and he's very grateful. And he will probably send you a little goodie that's unique only to him. But check it out. It's on the GoFundMe. Friends of Michael Braveheart. Hey, that's going to do it for right now. Otherwise, if you're on YouTube with me right now, we're about to leave you live, but You can find me on Twitter at the same Nemecek. At Larry Nemecek's Trekland, if you're on Facebook, is my Instagram. Love to have you there. And, of course, every month, all month, portal47.net, where no sound before, it's like a mini con all year long. We were doing it 5 years before the pandemic, and we do more. Tomorrow is, yes, indeed, is the European midday edition of our Ask Dr. Trek Roundtable. I'm looking forward to that with all the Portales, some of whom are here with us right now. So that's it, guys. What did you think of the Saturday Night Live sketch? Have you watched it since I've been talking? We'll see what everybody says about that, and the fact that it's amazing that they had Yoshi as production designer on SNL. Amazing that he was their go-to Sulu all these years, and it's amazing that they didn't have to do that this time. Bone Yang's awesome. He's pretty funny. If you didn't catch him, he was the iceberg that hit the Titanic, making an editorial rebuttal also during a Weekend Update this week, which was pretty funny. Good on him. Good on all that. Something to talk about. There's so much happening with Star Trek. I halfway expected some breaking news to pop up today, but that'll come down the pike. Anyway, thanks so much, guys, for being here in the Tuesday community. Our TTLers, as we say. If you were new today, still hang on. I'm going to come back and be here in the chat as soon as we look at some Parrot Analytics streaming TV ratings from the U.S. Okay? Until then, everybody, hey, we are not out of the woods yet with this goofy pandemic. And as I'm constantly reminded, as my friend Chris reminded me from Japan, from Trek FM, they are just now getting the vaccination started in Japan. Europe is having all kinds of throwbacks. We are a global community. They've got it rough in Michigan. So please, 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 we are not out of the woods on this yet. And you know what? There's a thing about viruses. No matter where you're living, viruses are the original thing going viral. So please, please stay healthy. Do all the things. Don't be tempted into silliness, okay? Yeah. Stay healthy. Stay woke. Check all the sources of what you're reading. Don't trust online things to be what they are, because it's not going anywhere. It's still very much out there, still trying to split us up. In fact, I read another study about trolls that I'm going to get to here in a week or two, an update on our original Russians, Robots, and Reflections show from 2 years ago. That's coming. Stay healthy. Stay woke in all the ways. And trek well, everybody.